Once again, this is Jose Trujillo. I'm a fine art painter. I'm coming to you from a corner of my art studio to talk to you fine people today. Today I want to talk to you about three things. Well, it's actually one, but I call it the three stages of the art process. There's three main stages, I believe, in the art process. Many people don't talk about them. I don't know why. They're extremely important. They are... they really help you nail down where the artist is at in their professional endeavor, in their professional career. And if you collect art, it's a really good thing to know. And if you're an artist, it's also a good thing to know, to see where you land, where are you at. It's self-aware. That self-awareness is very good, because many times you could be in the third stage and still dabbling in the second stage, or many times you could be in the first stage and thinking you're in the third. Okay, so without further ado, here I come with the three stages of art. The first one, you're new to art, right? I'm gonna talk about painting because I'm a painter, so that's where I can better relate. Okay, better explain. But this fits in anything. It doesn't matter. I think there's three stages in anything you do, not just painting, but I'm going to call it the three stages of art. The first one, you want to be a painter. So you're like, man, I want to paint. I want to paint. I want to paint. Okay, so you go to the art store and you're like, what can I do? Well, sign up to this for this classes or whatever. You know, there's this art school or, you know, whatever, however you get to it. Maybe you're someone's pupil, blah, 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 whatever. So you get oil paints, right? Because oil paints are awesome like that. And in that stage, you start learning the fundamentals. Maybe you take some drawing classes, some color theory, some perspective, some blah blah blah, and blahs and more blahs, right? Where you're learning. These are not techniques, okay? So don't. Most people think that, oh yeah, I'm gonna go learn the techniques. No. These are fundamentals. This is how to mix color. This is how to make a yellow and a red and turn it into an orange. This is very, very fundamental. How to use the color wheel and all of that stuff, right? So you go through that. Depending on how long you go through it, it depends on the artist. I don't know. Some artists fly through the first stage. Others, like myself, I went back and forth between the second and the first. Just because I wasn't formally trained. So I did a lot of stuff on my own. I shadowed artists. I bought my own books. I took my own courses. I went out and practiced without the aid of an instructor, because part of that, the main part, was because I was a rebel. The second part was because I was inspired by these artists who were like, dude, go outside. Don't follow a teacher's advice. Like, learn some basics, but don't follow it. To go outside and look at it. Or if it's not outside what you're doing, if it's inside, like, go inside and look at it. Like, sit there and look at it. That way you can get the real idea of it. The real, the nitty-gritty. Anyways, I don't want to bore you with my way. There's many ways. My way is not the only way, but it's either my way or the highway. So that's the first stage. The second stage is when you start getting good at it. You're like, oh yeah, man, I'm mixing colors. I'm doing paintings. Here's a little landscape painting, right? You start learning techniques. That's the second stage. You start learning techniques. So collectors, pay attention, okay? This is the part. You see those techniques? The techniques, like, what I mean by techniques is certain little things. They start using, different colors in the painting. Maybe they start becoming more... They become more colorist type of painters. They become more, and what I mean by that is that maybe they're just not. They're learning how to do things in a three-dimensional way, and it appears more realistic. It appears more. Maybe it's not three-dimensional. Maybe it's abstract. It looks more layered. Those abstract painters, they learn how to layer. Whatever it is that you do, but there's a technique stage. And you become good at it, and you own that, right? People are like, paint a tree, and you're like, yeah, got it, boom, a tree, bam, there it is, there's a tree. Paint draw a nude. You're like, yeah, boom, boom, got it, there's a nude, boom. And it could be photographic or it could be abstract. It doesn't matter. It's still stage 2. Okay? Because it's where you started, right? If you want to be an abstract painter, you're still in stage 2 because it's abstract. If you wanted to be a realist painter or somewhat semi-realistic, it doesn't matter. That's still the stage. It doesn't matter whether you did a stick figure of it or you did a photorealistic, you know, I don't know, representation or whatever of a nude. It's still stage 2. Okay? So there you have it, right? First, second stage. First stage is you're learning your basics. Second stage is you're learning techniques. Third stage, however, it's an awesome stage. This is maturity stage. This is where you learn techniques, but you're like, screw the techniques, you know? You learn your basics and you're like, screw some of the basics. Maybe not all of them, but some of them, you know? And you really start putting in what I believe is observation. I think the third stage is you start learning observation. You start becoming more, and I'm not talking about realism again, okay? So those of you who paint photorealism, don't get stuck in that, or hyperrealism. Don't get stuck in that. And those of you who do impressionist work, they'll be like, yeah, I'm learning how to see better. Like, don't get stuck in that. This is a stage where you are developing a voice. You're actually in that stage where it's a vision, a voice. It starts becoming yours. You're no longer trying to mimic some artist on some website or some artist that you visit or whatever. You're no longer your art instructor. You're now at a stage where you don't longer just try to use the techniques. Now you're putting stuff in there that makes no freaking sense, but it does. For example, one of my landscapes, right? People are like, what the hell is blue doing there? What is blue doing on a tree, you know? Or something like that. Or pink on a face, or, And I'm not talking about the style, okay? I'm talking about me, personally. Because your style could be pink on a face from the get-go. But I'm just giving you an example of me. I started painting, with the essentials, right? The basics. And then I went on to techniques. In techniques, I learned how to create a three-dimensional portrait. I used to do a lot of portrait painting. That's how I started gaining exposure and trying to get some income coming in. I was a portrait painter. And that really helped me develop a form of realism, because if I was painting a portrait of Julia and Julia didn't look like Julia, or Cindy didn't look like Cindy or whatever, then we have a problem, right? Now Cindy's like, wait a minute, that doesn't look like me. So anyways, that's where the techniques come in. It's that you learn how to do, certain things. In my case, I was doing somewhat realistic, slightly impressionistic portraits. And anyways, that was stage 2. Stage 3 for me was when I started doing those portraits. Now they become a bit more abstract, and then there's layers of paintings and different stuff that don't necessarily aid to the realism of them, but they aid to the vision. To you're looking deeper. You're learning. That's why I say observation comes in. Now you're looking beyond the yes. If the flat is if the ground is flat, and then it's really light, and the more erected an object, it's darker, and the more in the background it phases and it's lighter, and all these things, right? Those are all basics, and then techniques. Well, if you put the paint back here first, and then you let it dry, and then you come back to it, and then you do this, and then that's the technique stage. And now you're there, but now you're like, wait a minute, let me start doing this and that and that comes from you. It doesn't come from technique anymore. Now that comes from your vision, right? That's the maturity stage. I just wanted to touch on this because I believe that many people don't touch on it. I've talked to a lot of artists, I talked to collectors, and many people are like, say the word mature, right? You've come to a maturity, but I believe that it gets kind of lost in the shuffle because what is it? Well, it's just very simple. You know, you go through your basics, then you go through your techniques, and then you're like, the hell with them, and then you start doing you. When you start doing you, I believe you hit the peak. Okay, there's another stage though. After that I believe it goes farther. Maybe there's many more stages. I don't know, but you could see it in many artists. One of my favorites was they become abstract in a different way. It's not just abstract for the sake of abstract. They become more observant. And I believe, is that even a word, observant? Maybe, I don't know. They observe better, right? They learn to see better. One of them is Monet. The years Giverny, right? The garden. Those last years where he had cataracts and blah blah blah. That's a beyond stage, right? He went beyond the third stage, and I believe many artists have done that. Many artists, unfortunately, because they don't paint enough, or long enough, or persistent enough, they get stuck in stages 2 and 3. Maybe even many of them don't even hit the third stage. And it's sad because we all have the potential to go beyond these stages. And really, this happens naturally. This is not something that... It happens naturally. What I mean is, as long as you keep working, right? If you sit there, it's not going to happen. But it's a natural stage. Because you're working by... It's like you're cooking it. You know, an artist, it cooks the work. Anyways, I'll talk in another video about this. This is another subject that requires another 12 minutes of your time. Thank you so much. I hope I didn't bore you with this awesome 3 stages of the art process. My name is Jose Trujillo. I'm a fine art artist, and I am on the 3rd stage of this. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.